and gentlemen, this is Paul Taylor, and I have with me today my good friend Bruce Pascal. I want to welcome you all to The Language of Life. The Language of Life is a podcast which is focused on intriguing stories about common life topics such as relationships, finance, and careers. We are so excited today because our main focus is the purpose of inspiring, motivating you for success. We're excited to have with us today a good friend of mine who's become a very good friend of mine in a short amount of time, Bruce Pascal, who is Executive Manager, Managing Director of Cushman & Wakefield. And we're so excited, Bruce, to have you with us. We're going to talk about some things that Bruce is doing, that he's been able to do in his life, in his career. We're going to share with some other things that he's doing about his car collection as well. And we're going to talk about why he has a new nickname that he's allowed me to give him. But we'll talk about that at the end of the interview. But ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to some, present to others, Bruce Pascal. Bruce, how are you today?
Good evening, Paul. I'm doing great. Glad to be your guest this evening and looking forward to our conversation.
I know, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a good time. I want you all to know that you need to just click send and send this to a different platform, a LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, whichever LinkedIn social media connection you have, because you really need to begin to hear what it is we have to share with you today. Bruce, I want to just talk with you just for a short amount of time, just to ask you a couple of questions in reference to how you got into commercial real estate. What were some of the steps? What were some of the things that inspired you in your early career or even in college? Because we're going to talk about college too, because your story about college is so interesting. But how did you get into commercial real estate? How did you get into commercial real estate?
Well, it starts in college. My father had a stupid idea that each kid would pay for half their education. And I saved up a lot of money cutting grass, babysitting, odd jobs by the time I went to college. But, you know, nobody ever told me about dating, drinking, trips to the beach, and buying clothes when you're in college. So I ran out of all my money by my time I was a sophomore year, and I needed to make money. So I started making deliveries for law firms. And then it was pretty fun. You get $25 a shot. You serve a summons on somebody. It's like out of a movie. It was fun. And then one day I got the flu. And in a real brilliant decision, I leaned over to my roommate and I said, "Do you want to make $15?" He said, "Sure." I said, "Go make these deliveries." And I realized the week I had the flu, I gave him $150 and I sent a bill out for $250. And something went off in my head. I said, I made $100 while I was sleeping in bed. So I ended up hiring 10 other college students at different schools, Howard, University of Maryland, all around the community. And I started printing business cards, and I went around and I got 65 different law firms to hire me over the years. Wow. And by the time I graduated, I had office space. It was kind of fun. And then after college, I bought a building, I renovated it. And I decided to buy other real estate. And I was buying small buildings and selling them. And then everything was running great until all of a sudden the real estate market turned. Kind of like it may be turning right now. So I lost money fixing a house up. And I said, what am I going to do? How can I make money all the time, whether the prices go up or down? And a bell went off. I said, I could be a broker, whether I sell it for $400,000 or $300,000. But I didn't want to sell houses because that's an emotional sell. I don't like the colors. I don't like the neighborhood or whatever. I said, I want to do a businessman's because I was a finance major. Mm-hmm. So I called a friend who was a commercial real estate broker, and I didn't know it, but he specialized in law firms. So he said, what did you do in college? I told him about the law firm. He goes, do you know anybody, Aaron Fox? I said, well, I know Susan. He goes, you know Susan? I go, yeah. Do you know anybody at Williams and Connolly? I know Bob. You know Bob. Next thing you know, he grabs me by the ear and takes me down to the president's office. And next thing you know, I'm being interviewed for a job. And I just went in to find out what the industry's like. And the next day I started my career. That was 34 years ago in commercial real estate. So I kind of combined my three passions, my passions of sales, my compassion of finance, and my compassion of real estate. And I've had a really great, fun career because if you show up every day working with your passions, you're going to do a lot better than something you may not be enjoying.
Wow, you said sales, finance, and real estate. Those are your three passions. That's awesome.
Put it together.
Writing notes. I'm writing notes, Bruce, as you
You
talk
got it.
here. And it also sounds like you got some experience earlier in your career on contracting and outsourcing, various work and connecting people together and outsourcing and working with people that way. So interesting, Bruce. So interesting.
My friend was an accountant, and he said, Bruce, he said to me one day, he says, "Do you want to be rich?" And I was a college kid. I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Find a way to make money when you're sleeping." So if you can leverage, when you're sleeping tonight and somebody's selling ice cream cones you made during the day, doesn't matter what it is, or cutting grass while you're at a football game on Sunday, and you're making a little bit of money, if you can, figure out a way to leverage and have other people working one way or another, either as partners or one way or another, you could be more successful than by yourself.
Right, right.
A great lesson I learned in life in high school is I couldn't pick up a car if my life depended on it. But 8 of us could get around a car and we could turn it sideways in some guy's garage. You know what I mean? So I feel sorry for all the times I did that. So there's a power in numbers. It's a metaphor and it's a lesson.
Power in numbers. I like that because that sounds like you know how to take a team and put them to work and make sure you get things done corporately together. That's awesome.
A great team wins the Super Bowl, so it's the same thing in life. A great team and people you work with. Mm-hmm. If everybody knows the roles and works hard, success comes much easier.
Bruce, it's something that you have said to me. I watched you, and you said you've done, but I watched you where you love to give people an opportunity, give people a chance. Mm-hmm. In your life and in your experiences and in your career, who has given you opportunities? Who has given you chances? Or have you experienced people not giving you chances and you wanted to make sure when you got to a place, you would be able to do that?
You know what? It's so funny. The joy for me is giving, and I'm actually sometimes uncomfortable for receiving. Mm-hmm. But there was one young woman that I met years ago that was just outstanding running a charity. You could just see she was extremely dynamic. Mm-hmm. And somehow or another, she called me up and she said she needed office space. And it was the smallest requirement. Literally, it was a few hundred square feet. That's like if you're a residential salesperson, you sold the smallest efficiency condo, Right. But I really liked her. We did a great deal. And I took care of her as if she was the most important client in the world. And then the phone rings 3 months later where somebody needs like 10,000 square feet. I'm like, where'd you get my name? Oh, Nancy gave me your name. And over my lifetime, she has the DNA of doing that tiny deal has come back for over $1 million worth of deals. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. And it teaches you a lesson in life to treat you never know who a client is. Every person you meet, if you're in a sales like I am, is like a lottery ticket. It could be a scratch off with nothing, or it could be $1 million for life, Mm-hmm. So that's not the reason to treat people nice, but it is a dividend of treating people nice, because if you treat everybody well and professionally, it always comes back to take care of you later in life.
Wow, that's awesome. It's like a reaping and sowing type of thing,
Yes.
That's what it sounds like. It's awesome. Bruce, and listening to your stories, believe it or not, you are such an inspiring person. You really do inspire me, Bruce, when I see you. I mean that from my heart.
And likewise.
And thank you so much. In your life, who was the greatest inspiration for you, Bruce, growing up as a child and becoming a man?
It's funny you say that. My grandfather, his name was Fred Kolker, in Union Market in D.C., which is a very popular place to visit now. In 1931, that was a converted military base into the food market capital of Washington, D.C. That's where all the food wholesalers were. And my grandfather was the first tenant down there, and he ran his chicken wholesaling business. Wow. And he inspired me for several reasons. Number one, I saw the name of the company on his door, Kolker Poultry Company. And I was like, Grandpa, what's it like to have your name? And when I was in college, I named my delivery company after my name. I called it Pascal's Process Service. And that was a direct correlation to my grandfather. My grandfather had great stories about you never know who a customer is. A man came in one day and said, "Can I buy one chicken?" And then, one of the employees said, "Sorry, we don't sell one chicken, we sell thousands. We're a wholesaler." But my grandfather ran out and said, "Follow me," and cut up one chicken for him. The guy came back 3 days later and said, "Okay, I'm ready to give you the account." My father's like, "Grandfather, what are you talking about?" He goes, uh, it was Kentucky Fried Chicken, basically. And my grandfather, he said, "I went to 6 different poultry companies and you're the only one to sell me one chicken. And I figured if you could sell me one chicken with that care, you can sell me thousands." And my grandfather said he made $50,000 a year on that account. And this is 1950s. So that was a lot of money in 60s. So you never know who a customer is. And the stories he told me. He also told me a story about helping the community. One of the churches in Washington, D.C. at on 9th Street, an African-American church, couldn't get a loan. And my grandfather knew the reverend, and he said, "I'll tell you what, I'll guarantee the loan." And they ended up buying the church, eventually paying off the note. And I remember as a kid in 1968, a week before the riots, going to a church service, my first Baptist church service, and everybody had fans, and I'd never, I only seen movies of it. But my grandfather stood up and was honored by the entire congregation for his help in letting them buy that church. So my grandfather's tradition of giving back and being humble, and his last tradition is hard work. He worked so hard. To be in a market, you got to be there 3 in the morning because that's when the trucks come by to pack up, to give to restaurants.
3 in the morning. Wow.
3 in the morning. And he would not leave till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. He would come home. And remember, in those days, these are dead chickens, the blood coming out, and it wasn't a good smell. And my grandmother said, "You have to take all your clothes off in the garage, come in naked, take a shower, then you can get in bed." So he'd get in bed at 11 and get up at 3 in the morning again. So hard work, charity, and kindness. And that's my grandfather.
Bruce, by listening to you and listening and looking at the things in your success and what you're doing now, you can see how those principles, you have been able to implement those principles, and you have actually taken it to another level in the area of success. Bruce, I wanted to ask you, had you ever thought about writing a book?
Well, it's funny. I asked my grandfather to write down a lot of stories. And recently I found his handwritten stories where he told the story of the Kentucky Fried Chicken. He told the story once where he asked somebody, "How do you make money? Every stock I do turns bad." And the advice my grandfather got was, "Find a wealthy man and invest whatever that wealthy man buys." And so my grandfather bought one building with him, and that ended up being his best investment in his life. So he wrote all these stories. So I recently started writing down some interesting things that I think that I'd like my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, God willing, to learn a little bit about Bruce Pascal. And it's kind of fun for me to dig up some of these memories of some of the fun things I did, and then I'm writing it now myself. Not that I'm anything like my grandfather, because I have him on a pedestal, but hopefully there'll be good, fun stories.
You are
Maybe I'll share them with you one day.
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to that through the friendship, Bruce, with what you're doing, and I can tell how your granddad and even your dad have made major impacts on your life because the kind of man you are, the kind of man you've become, a businessman, a father, a grandfather, one that's well acknowledged and one that's respected by people and admired by people. Bruce, there's 2 other things I want to get to because I want to get to the college kids. I always try to remember the college kids. But before I do that, I've got to ask you a question because you have something else going on too, Bruce, with this Bruce Pascal's Hot Wheel collection. My goodness, I've seen cars. You've got some in your collection, cars that I love. Oh, he's going to show us to us, guys. He is going to show us to us. And we're going to see his collection. Look at that.
There's a bunch of Hot Wheels, more items, original prototypes. But what I love more than anything else is the Hot Wheel.
Oh, my Volkswagen Bug.
There's a Volkswagen Bug. This is 1/64th scale. This car, see how beautiful it is?
Yeah.
You know how old it was? You know what year this was made? 1968. It's 55 years old, and it's in mint condition. Look at that.
Wow.
And this is what I love. I was 7 years old in 1968, and that's when Hot Wheels came out. And yeah, I collect Hot Wheels. I have thousands of them. I wrote a book on the history of Hot Wheels, and I even have rare items. To make a Hot Wheel, you have to make a mold 4 times larger. This is the Mercedes-Benz mold made in 1969 out of resin. So I have original items from the factory that were used to create Hot Wheels. So that's my real passion. It's gone from real estate, finance, and work to getting to play with toys all day, you know?
So Bruce, now how can they get in touch with you, or how can they see your collection? Because I know you have it online too, as well as your
Yeah, so I have a couple
museum.
websites, museum.hotwheelsonline.
Okay.
And that's I have a 4,000 square foot private museum. I open it up every once in a while on Sundays. And then I have a art collection of original artwork used to create Hot Wheels. And that's hotwheelsonline.com. So pretty easy. Museum.hotwheelsonline or just Hot Wheels Online.
Okay. Now,
and
Bruce,
everyone has to connect with me.
That's awesome.
In case you have any Hot Wheels to sell me.
I'm sure some people are going to seek you out.
There are so many people that you can just pick up the phone and say, hey, Paul Taylor, I want to be like you. Could I spend 30 minutes with you? Or can I get you a cup of coffee at your office and interview you? And the more people you do that with, the more you're going to be like my friend Steve. If you wait too late until when college is over and make your first calls, you're behind all those other kids that called when they were freshmen, sophomores, and junior. Wow. And the trick in life is be the first one in the door, not the last one. Wow. I hope that gives you good advice.
That's excellent advice, Bruce, because the one thing I really love about you, I really respect about you more than anything else, is your ability to be direct, but yet be informational, but being able to give people instructions that helps them to move to a place to where they can have by listening to you talk, you give them a snapshot. You give them a snapshot of what they can become, but in their present tense, while they're going through the process, you are their point of reference all the way through, or whatever it is that you're saying to them, they can reflect back to. They remember your voice. They remember what you said. That's what's so impactful to people. That's what keeps people going. That's sort of like the knot in their rope where they hang on to it while they're going through the process. Yep. I always say the process prepares you for the promise, you know. When people desire to be something or want to become something, they always have points of references. And then I always say, well, what is the hallway? What is the hallway? Well, what is the process? The process is the hallway. I mean, in the hallway, you can look in the hallway, you can see pictures of people. You can read quotes of what people have said. When my wife and I went up to the Kennedy Center a couple of months ago, we went there, we chilled out, we had dinner there, but we went to the area where they talked about John F. Kennedy, and they showed all the different quotes and how he came up with the vision for the Kennedy Center and all the various things that I've been there before. But you know, when you go back, you always learn something new. That's what it is with you, Bruce. When you talk, I always learn something new. But before we close, ladies and gentlemen, this man has a nickname that he's allowed me to give him. Well, you actually said it, so I just took it on. Bruce, you have a lot of people that follow you, follow your work and what you do. There was one gentleman that called you in California and had you on his show. Can you share a little bit about that? Would you like to? And
sure. So I had this nice guy named 2 Chainz. So it's a TV show called Most Expensiveness. So I brought some of my expensive Hot Wheels, and he was not supposed to touch them. The first thing he does is he pick them up. He was 6'5", and I reminded him that I wrestled in high school. You better put that down. But we had a great time, had a great TV show. He was with a buddy of his, another TV star. And so I decided these 2 Chainz, I'm now 3 Chainz. So you can call me 3 Chainz.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. So the next time, but before I say the next time, Bruce, would you be willing to come back again and do another session with me on the podcast?
Anytime, buddy. As long as you're the host, I'm there. I follow you, Paul. And you're doing a great service to your followers. And I hope everybody learns from the wisdom and the collective people that you bring on, so people can tell their stories, because life is nothing but telling stories.
You're right. You're right. So thank you so much, Bruce, for that. And it means a lot coming from you, Bruce. But ladies and gentlemen, so if you ever hear me slip up and call him 3-chain, not 2-chain, 3-chain, you know why. But Bruce, there's a funny story behind the reason why you see he and I laugh a lot, because Bruce is a trickster, ladies and gentlemen. Bruce has a lot of tricks up his sleeves. And one day he did a move on me that I turned around and I just started laughing. You want to tell a story, Bruce? You might as well tell it. I'm supposed to.
I know. I walk into the mailroom and you were like on your knees. I see a butt hanging up. I said, I got to kick it. You know what I mean? I see a butt. I kick your butt. You're like, who the hell just did that? And you turned around. I was like, hey. Yeah. So now every time I see you turning around like that, you're open for an attack.
Yeah. For whatever reason, ladies and gentlemen, see, that's where it clicked for Bruce and I. And we've been laughing because he likes to try to dance and go low, and we know the story behind that too. So,
okay.
But ladies and gentlemen, I hope that this is inspiring for you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this was inspiring for you. Bruce, thank you so much for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, he is coming back again. He's going to be one of our regular guests because the more I talk to Bruce, the more I begin to respect him and admire him. And I feel more like he's becoming one of my good friends. And soon I'll be able to say my best friend. Thank you,
I like
Bruce.
it. That'd be a good.
All right. Thank you, Bruce. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you've enjoyed this. Please share this page on your platform. Please like it. Let us know how you liked it, how you enjoyed it. We're going to have Bruce come back again. You know how to get in touch with Bruce. Please go to his website. Please go to his website to see his awesome car collection. In that collection, he's got one of my favorite cars, the VW Bug, the VW Beetle, the Volkswagen. There it is. There it is. Thank you, Bruce. Take care, guys.
Talk to you soon. Have a great night.